Since this episode's about music, I might as well do my vocal exercises. I'm singing in the rain, yes, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again. Hello guys, and welcome. It is May the 6th, and welcome to the Redhead Boy podcast. It's episode 8. Yes, we got there with me, your host, Harry Allen. Thank you for coming back and listening again. I've been super enjoying doing the podcast, and I have super enjoyed doing this episode 8. For this episode, it's all about music, and I chatted to my friend Carrie Higgs and her producer Dom about her exciting new album called Zero Plus. It's a real experimental album. It's all about alternate realities, something that you can listen to that will take you off somewhere else. And before I play that fabulous interview that I had with them earlier today, let's listen to a little clip of one of the songs from the album.
Well, we're alien, just like everybody else. We're so weird, but it don't matter in the new world. We've got it. What we saw ahead, his head is full. We're waking, covered as we're watching the world go by. We're alien, we're heating up all the.
Hello.
Hello, you alright?
Yeah, whoa, that's loud. Bear with me.
It's okay, no worries.
Well, I gain a little bit too high there.
It's okay, no worries.
Sorry.
How are you? You alright?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, just sort of lockdowning. There's not much to say. I mean,
No.
sort of what I've been up to. Nothing else has happened. It's just,
No, we haven't talked for ages.
it could actually be years, you know.
Yeah, about maybe maybe 2. I'd say.
Yeah.
I'd say no. Thanks for coming on, by the way. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I've not done a podcast before. This is my first podcast. So
Oh, cool. It's okay.
thanks for giving me the opportunity. I'm glad to be you being my first attempt.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows how this is going to go, Harry? It's going to be interesting. So,
It's all right. Bless you. No, thanks for both of you coming on and everything. I really appreciate it.
no problem.
So it's all right. It's going to be like a very chilled conversation, so don't need to worry. Okay.
No problem.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I think this is going to be really fun.
Cool. Now, let's do like an introduction to the both of you and everything and all that. So if you guys want to do that first, just
Sure.
introduce yourself to the
Sure.
listeners.
Sure. Hello, listeners. I'm Carrie Higgs. I'm a multimedia artist from Brighton, and I'm here today with my producer, Dom. Say hi, Dom.
Hello. I just basically helped Carrie with the production and sort of mixing of her album. I just sort of the engineering work in Brighton. I manage Still Studios, which is a small sort of designing and music studio in Brighton. Just only recently started up. That's pretty much about me.
Yeah, that's us.
Not
That's
much
pretty
about me, yeah.
much what we do. I think it's worth me mentioning multimedia, right? It's that kind of word where you're like, what does that actually mean? So, I mean, I'm more involved in the film and the music aspect. What I'm here today to talk about is my project Zero Plus. It's a small album project. It's a multimedia project with music and film being two very equal parts of the writing. So I explore elements like augmented reality, how we can change performance spaces, and really trying to get people involved in new sort of forms of engagement. So it's quite an exciting project.
Yeah, no, it sounds it. It sounds it. Like that was a really good answer, by the way.
Oh, thank you, Harry.
That was really good. You literally like answered like 3 questions in a row there. That was brilliant.
Bam.
No, nice to chat to you as well, Dom, as well.
Yeah, thank you.
I know that we haven't actually met physically yet, have we? So
Yet.
so no, we have been talking about maybe doing some bits together and that. So no, that's cool. No, tell me more about the tell me more about like the film stuff and stuff like that then. So what's like the plan with this? Like what's the plan with the 0 Plus?
So I'll just go through the sort of way we work, because I think at the moment, you know, there's lots and lots of bedroom musicians, and hey, I love that. I love bedroom musicianing, and so really what I've done is try to get the multimedia aspect more into the bedroom. We have bedroom musicians, we have, you know, filmmakers, but how many people do we really have right now that are at home experimenting with things like augmented reality and film, that are actually musicians and want to push it from that kind of music base, if you know what I mean? How can we change the way that musicians approach music? So what I obviously do is I've got my camera gear, I've got my green screen, I've got all my editing software. So I'll write the music from the perspective of visuals. So I'm writing the music from a picture in my head, which is a bit
Nice.
I know it sounds crazy, but it works really, really well when you're trying to visualize augmented reality. That fits into imagination so well. So does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah, no. That sounds really good. That sounds like super fun to do as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like,
good fun. It can go really wrong, or it can go really, really well. It's
that's like the fun bit, though, isn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah.
You learn a lot either way.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Like in like everything creative, you like start trying something, then you like start writing it or start tweaking it, and you're like, is this good? And then you go, oh no, it's kind of crap, so let's start again. And so yeah, it sounds like a real creative like space to work in.
Yeah. I think I've kind of kitted my home out to be a little different from the traditional home. So I kind of created this culture. We've got this new culture appearing, you know, where I've cleared a room out, and that room is now the room of everything that I do. And I think that's really useful. You don't need a big space these days. Even if you've got a cupboard, you can do it, to be honest. You stick it all in the cupboard, you've got your private space, you are free to go and explore, to go, you know, work now. We've got so much easy access now to be able to just connect with each other online. So let's make the most of that. Let's make the most of the technology that's now around. I think the most interesting thing is later, I mean, I'm into the augmented reality aspect now, but I really want to get into VR. That's where I'm going eventually. There's a lot of kit that's needed at the moment. The UK is slightly, admittedly, behind the US a little bit in terms of gear. So I'm sort of waiting for that to calm down a little bit and come a bit more towards the UK. But we're ready, man. We're ready for that. And we are starting it now. So come and check it out, guys. So
I'm loving the passion. It's so good. So good. And
100 miles per hour.
Yeah, no, but you've always been like that. I remember when I first met you on we were doing that a short film with somebody. And I remember,
Julia. Yes.
Yeah. I remember, and I was like, "This girl has a lot of energy." I was like, "Jesus!" So
there was a moment where I realised it's probably the copious amounts of coffee I drink. I might like coffee a bit too much. I had a week where I stopped coffee, and I thought, wait, why am I Why am I so calm? Oh, whoa, I'm not as energetic as I thought. I was just coffeeed up all the time. But
That's hilarious.
I think it's stayed permanently in my brain.
Yeah, no.
That sort of energy.
Oh, no, it's good. It's good. I think it's a really good thing to like say to people that are listening, like creatives and stuff, that rather than waiting for opportunities, you need to make the opportunities.
Absolutely, yes.
Um,
And there's a lot of talk about manifestation right now. And yeah, to manifest something, you do have to do something.
yeah,
And I think that really a lot of people really fear, because creatives are, relatively, it's personal sometimes,
yes,
it's very
yeah,
sensitive. And you put time, you put effort into creating this whole big project, this like baby. And suddenly if someone sort of rips into it, or you feel if you put it out there people won't like it, then that devalues yourself. That is not the case. So it's actually one of the things that this project really talks about, that no matter who you are, you have a unique perspective in this world. No one can see the world through your eyes. That is unique, and every single person on this planet has that. So everybody has something. And yeah, I think that artists these days we're seeing so many young people online getting together and doing these amazing projects. I think that this sort of, especially with tech, it's really enabled us to try to get perspective on ourselves and to work together to gain confidence. But yeah, totally, they should just go for it. There's no
yeah,
point sitting there and waiting. You'll learn along the way if you don't know, and people are always happy to help. And that's one thing I love about this industry, that there's always a friendly face that you can say, hey, can't quite remember how to press play, could you do it for me? And they'll be like, yeah, I'll press play for you. Of course,
yeah,
you
no.
should probably know how to press play. But,
Yeah, but no, I like 100% like agree. Like the creative area is so like friendly and welcoming, and the good thing is that they like have been in the same position as like you or us, so it's
absolutely.
like it's all about helping each other. I think that's what I wanted to do with this podcast really, was sort of to help advertise other creatives, and just for it to be like this space where we talk about just being creative and making our own stuff, and that's what you got to do, is help each other out, and you do me a favor and I do you a favor and stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
and that's
So
what and that's what makes it fun, doesn't it? So
absolutely, yeah. I think it would be a very lonely existence if you were just doing it on your own and had no reception at all and no one to discuss what you've created. Since obviously it's really good putting it out there, but you're always looking for feedback all the time as a creative. So okay.
yeah, so what would you say is like what made you want to like do this album, this creative experience, as you sort of like described it, like
Yeah.
now? What's made
Yeah.
you like? What made you wake up one day and go, "We need to do this now"?
Well, I mean, I've been writing for a long time. So I started writing music when I was about 13, and I started music when I was 8. So it's always been a massive part, creativity, always a huge part of my life. And I wrote, I've always loved writing in general. I wrote my first little book when I was 5, and it's really just never stopped from then. It's so addictive when you get into it. So it became my way of communicating with the outside world in a way that I could understand, which was so beneficial to me when I was younger. But over the years, I've worked in music, I've worked in film, and not always creative roles, sometimes technical roles. And all of that has really contributed to what I've created now. And so I'm putting in all of these physical experiences into a dreamlike mental experience for other people to listen to. So, for example, I worked on a film job in France, and it was the craziest film job I've ever done. I slept on the floor on a mat. This was a proper job in Cannes, and it was mental. I had someone dropping tea in my eye in the morning while she was going to yoga, and really that's sort of, and that was 3 years ago. And
Yeah, no,
that,
I think I remember
you
seeing
heard?
pictures. I remember seeing pictures on your Instagram or something
Yeah,
like doing that. So I was like,
this
oh,
story,
I
yeah.
was like, lucky woman. She's like going, because I remember when we did that short film that you guys were talking about doing that.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I
It was
remember.
great. Yeah, it was great. It was just absolutely mental because we got there and half the team wasn't there. So I had to jump in, do project coordinating and be like, right, okay, we're doing this scene and that scene. And really that was such a turning point for me as a creative, because I think that element of just throwing disaster into my life went, whoa, okay. I saw more of what I could do. I was put under that pressure where I came out the other side. It really inspired me to go ahead and start making projects for myself. That it did give me confidence, I'll give it that. And it's also where I started collaborating with my other producer. Obviously I've got Dom here, but I also have another producer called Matt Wilkinson,
Mhm.
and he's been working in film, TV and music for, gosh, I don't know, like 20 years or something, quite a while. And we sort of got talking whilst we were over there about what I was doing and sort of what I was really getting into. And we ended up having a full, all the set, all of the artists that were there. We ended up sort of doing a choir by the end, so we were like singing songs.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, and then I thought, you know what, I love this, actually friggin' love it, and I want to do more. I want to collaborate with more people. So yeah, this is sort of what this is all about, and
Cool.
that's
That
where it came
sounds
from.
great. That sounds
Yeah.
great. I always think it's amazing when you have like moments like that or meet people that you automatically connect with and then start speaking about creative stuff. It's just so exciting when you end up meeting other
Mm,
creatives that feed your uh,
absolutely. Yeah.
passion. Yeah, yeah, it's great.
Absolutely. Because it was such a close environment, we had actors, we had filmmakers, and we were all sort of together. We were all just stuck in a situation where we didn't know really what we were doing, and we all had to work together. Otherwise, there would have been no project. And sort of that sort of situation was, yeah, a massive influence on sort of how I approach collaboration now. And yeah, so
Cool. No, that's good. That's brilliant. No, that sounds like that sounds like a really good experience and a really good
yeah,
moment in your creative journey.
absolutely. I mean, musically, I've done quite a lot in terms of bands. I've not done many solo projects, so this is one of my first solo projects.
Cool.
I've done rock, I've done pop, I've done um, I've badly done reggae because obviously I just don't have the accent. It's so important, right? So little white girl singing reggae, maybe
Yeah,
not.
yeah, that could be.
But
That's
yeah,
fine.
I keep the bass lines. I keep the bass lines though because they're always so sweet. They're I keep them. So I've got a couple of sort of reggae style bass lines in this album.
Oh,
I've mixed
sick.
it with other things. So
No,
obviously
no,
I've got the rock background, which I
cool,
put a bit of distorted guitar in, and I'm also mega into sort of new stuff, I guess, sort of trap
cool.
music and things like that. So I've
No,
played with
no. I remember when we first met and we were talking
yeah.
about like the stuff that we did and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I remember being like super nervous on that particular project that we were doing. I don't know why. I
Because we
think
had such little time as
yeah,
well.
yeah, 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 yeah. I think so. And also, it was like chucked in at the deep end. And I remember we were in like somebody's flat with a massive dog and everything. It was like a real like,
Absolutely. We get
yeah,
these situations, don't
yeah,
we?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I remember like you saying like all this stuff that you do and all this. I was like, Jesus. I was like, she definitely knows how to keep herself busy. I was like, that's like really good and really impressive, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's come from a definite place of actually isolation. When I was sort of growing up, we
Mm,
moved to a village, and so it was very, very quiet. There wasn't really much around. Not many people played music or did film or anything like that. And I was pretty much left to go and sort of play and experiment on my own there. So I think it was a matter of me always trying to reach out to others from where I was and go, hey, I want to be involved. Hey, I'm over here. obviously I moved. I'm in Brighton now. But actually, I think that was a really useful part of my life when I wasn't so in the middle of everything, because it really showed me what I wanted to reach to. So
Oh
yeah.
no, that's good. No, that yeah. I think everyone sort of when they're younger is sort of their first start of thinking of creative stuff and stuff like for me, it was because I couldn't go out and do physical stuff because I've got well, more mild now than I used to. I was born with cerebral palsy, so
No way.
and I have a twin. So when we were younger, he used to go out and like ride his bike and do all like do like the usual stuff, and I couldn't do stuff like that. So it would be like me just sitting in front of the television watching a shit ton of films or a shit ton of TV, and just saying I want to do this stuff. I want to make this stuff because I couldn't go out and do like the average stuff as you do for younger. So I think I agree that our like early lives shape us so much as the adults that we turn into now and how we like develop and stuff. So I agree with that.
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely a motivator in trying to get that sort of, drive is so important.
Yeah, I agree.
As a creative, if you don't have the drive, try and find a way to find the drive, because that's going to pull you through. And these moments of either isolation, either disaster and chaos, which is just part of everyday life, I guess. But they're huge motivators that can help us go, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this done. And what do I have to lose? I may as well go for it. And that's a really nice story, Harry, because I think a lot of creatives do have little stories like this where they can pinpoint maybe that moment when they realized that they were going to go forward and do this and do what they wanted to do. Because I mean, in music, in film, you're pretty reliant on yourself a lot of the time.
And 100%. Like,
Right.
Now, tell me like what your main inspirations for like this new album, like the ideas, like what sort of stuff have you been like cherry picking from, and who inspired you for this? I know this might be a very loaded question.
Yeah, right. There's so many years of just constant music.
Cool.
But I think for me, recently, I'm looking at artists like Björk, where she changes the idea of story on stage. She has all those huge lights, lovely lighting shows, big costumes, and they're all sort of related to this whole world theme that she's got going on. And I loved the way that she'd put that together. It did get me thinking, alongside artists like Imogen Heap, where she experiments with her musicianship. She's done some funky things, and both of those have really driven my thoughts on where do I want to go within this art. What do I want to do? It's quite similar. The difference is I think that I want to do more with augmented reality. So whereas Björk obviously a lot that's it's very physical. There's a lot of physical things that she does with her shows, but they were probably the two biggest inspirators that I can think of. Lady Gaga's Monster House was another thing, and I loved that. I thought that was great. They're all big, flamboyant, colourful, and there's just so much going on. I love that environment, and although mine is a little different, hers is quite theatre based and mine's quite sort of digital based. It's very similar in terms of the way that we all work as a collaborative. So those were sort of mine.
Cool.
I did ask this question to Dom because he's obviously got quite a lot of influence in the mixing and things. So that does have its own influence in itself in the album. And what did you come up with? You came up with
so no, as a producer, I mainly sort of look into EDM music. So that doesn't sort of just mean like, I know like it says dance music, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's just fall to the floor sort of dance music. There's elements from like hip hop and trap, like a lot of these from like maybe not even newer, but like from 2015, 2014, a lot of hip hop and trap artists, they've been using like these you know, AR elements and stuff, and in their videos, and like sort of making these like sounds with synths that like really fit the sort of audio visual sort of narrative. Um,
Yeah,
so
cool.
there's people like, you know, Travis Scott and stuff, for example, like his producers, they do a lot of really interesting like synth work to go and promote the sort of really, you know, trippy, weird stuff that he does in his videos. And I thought that maybe looking into that and stuff would be useful. And I use some of that information to like create some synths in Gary's album to sort of promote that sort of spaciness or whatever you want to call it in her album. So sound is a huge part of the AR as well. You can't just have just an image. Like if you put a sound, you know, you design yourself like an abstract artifact you design yourself on a synth. It's going to be far better than just having, you know, some sort of predetermined preset, sort of pushing that sound, that image for you. So like, yeah, it's really going into like, if you want to see what other people are doing, you've got to listen to the sounds they're using to promote the image as well. It's not just about
Uh,
the VR and stuff as well.
yeah, yeah, no, cool. That sounds really interesting, Dom. Yeah, no, I agree that you got to like look at other people and see what they're doing and see how they're like pushing the medium like forward and stuff
Well,
like
this is
that.
the funny thing, Harry. And I was looking online for a bigger green screen because obviously at the moment I'm only two. Well, I've only got one or two. Well, I've got a small one, two.
Cool, cool.
But to do a 360 or to do a 180 view, obviously I'm going to need a couple of those green screens.
Yeah.
Went online, they're all sold out. Everyone's buying them right now. So something must be happening. I did laugh because I've seen some really weird excuses of a green screen online.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw this green screen that was supposed to be this sort of U shape, and everyone had been buying it because they put this picture of a man standing in front of it, and they'd all bought it, and it's literally the size of your phone. It's so small, and I just cracked up. But they're all sold out at the moment. So I think that a lot of people, especially now during lockdown, are sort of thinking, I'm so bored. What can I do? And then this is a way actually for people to escape this this
Yeah.
reality a little bit, isn't
Yeah.
it? So I mean, if you can't go outside, at least you can make it indoors.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like at the moment, because we're so like contained into like one space. That's the whole reason that I started this podcast, because I was like, I've done some radio, like hospital radio, and
Really?
and obviously at the moment I can't do that. So
Mm.
so I thought, and I was thinking for a while. I was like, I'll do a podcast and just like talk about like creative and stuff, and plus.
Yeah, I
It's
love that.
it's more freedom than radio, because you have so many rules for radio and stuff like that and all.
Yeah, radio is quite different. I mean, I've done a bit of radio before. This was years ago, and it's a little bit more rigid, and because I guess
Yeah,
there's time to consider as well with radio. There's a lot less
yeah,
time sometimes for interviews and things.
yeah, and
Whereas
stuff like
with
that.
things like podcasts, you can actually you tend to see the personality of the person a little bit better, I find, because you've got that time to listen and really make the most of it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. So you and Dom were talking about
Hmm.
like Dom looking into his bits and you looking into yours. So tell me,
Hmm.
like, how long have you been like working on this like album, like officially? How long?
Yeah.
It's like, tell me about that.
Yeah. So I started the pre-production, the initial stages of the storyboarding and the writing process late last year. So that was probably November. Dom came on board in January. So I obviously needed to get a lot of the material down first, write the songs, and really find what I wanted to go for with this project. So I'd say, January. It's all a blur, Harry. I don't know what
Cool.
day it is now.
Yeah, no, that's completely, no, yeah, no, I agree with that. This year is like going nuts. We're going to be joking about it, like, well, not joking about it, but we're going to be like, do you remember that year that we just stayed indoors and did nothing?
Yeah.
So,
I tell you, I wish that were the case. I never thought I'd be busier locked inside my home, but there we are.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. No, good for you, because that's good. Because you know, I've still managed to go out and work because I've been doing a retail job, so I'm still going out and doing that. Uh,
Ah,
but everybody that I've talked to, like customers and stuff, are saying that they just find it hard being stuck in the same place, and it's good that you're actually doing something, because it can get quite, you know, depressive and like lonely and
absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah. With so much to do, you don't think about it. The time goes by so fast. Because you're like, oh gosh, this is the next deadline. That's all really you end up thinking of, I think,
No,
when you're
that's
doing a
good.
big project.
Deadlines are like seriously important. Like,
Absolutely, absolutely. Deadlines. Stick to your deadlines, guys. Otherwise, it becomes a massive habit and you end up never getting anything done.
yeah.
And I've seen it so many times and I'm guilty of it myself.
So am
But
I. So am I.
I didn't know the shops were open, Harry.
Yeah, no, I'm working at a Tesco's Express, so that's why that's open, because it's food.
Ah,
So
fair,
yeah,
fair.
just doing the usual like boring job while I do creative stuff, because you know you got to pay rent.
You
So
do have to pay rent. I think that sometimes you even need a boring job just to make the
yeah,
creativity that little bit more exciting. Because once, obviously, working in this field for so long, it's all I've ever done. I've never done anything but music or film. I came straight out of college. During college, I started sort of getting work experience and just went straight into it. And yes, it was really hard, and yes, I was really broke for a very long time, very broke. But yeah, I would have probably appreciated that at some point, some sort of casual job where you can let your mind rest in a way,
yeah.
and distract yourself with the customer coming in saying, "There's a tear in my packet, and this is disgraceful, and I won't have it. I want my money back." And you're like, "Well, it didn't affect any of the crisps in there." And you're like, "Man, why am I dealing with this woman?"
It's
Um,
alright. It's funny. It gives you like material just to use later. Trust.
mhm, absolutely.
So yeah. So tell me. So you said like Dom came in and you started working together. Tell me like what is your what is your how do you two both like collaborate on
Mm,
on this? How does that work? How does the
yeah,
dynamic work?
I know it's a really good question. It's had its challenges. We've found loopholes while we've done it, but mostly at the moment online, and so we really just share through the drive. And so we all have our workstations, and we just sort of post to each other through that. When it gets uploaded, we all know, so we just carry on working on it. We've got our spreadsheets. I call the team every couple of days and sort of just catch up with everybody, make sure that everyone knows what they're doing. And really it's quite free and quite sort of open to suggestions. So maybe the bass player might just add an extra bit and say, "Hey, I thought this was cool," and then I'll have a look at it, drop it in to my workstation, and then have a little edit. And so really it's just us all working from our computers at the moment anyway.
Nice. It sounds like a real like creative, like fluid, like there's no bad idea sort of thing.
Absolutely not. No, there's never a bad idea. And I think that's one of my mottos. There's never a bad idea. There's always something you can learn. Even if it is a bad idea, you can learn something very valuable from that. And so I love that though about this team, that everybody is so willing to just give it a go. And there's never anything better than that, in my opinion.
Cool. No, that sounds like, yeah, it's a really good motto to have. I think it's really good to almost describe it as like a wall, like you have all these ideas and you just chuck it up against the wall and just see which ones stick,
Mm-hmm.
which ones are going to stay there and which ones fall away,
Absolutely.
which
No
is really
idea is a
good.
bad idea.
Nah.
Um, when I think of the song "Who Runs the World, Girls," I always put that as an example, because I'm like, well, if you do 3 notes in your bass line, it might sound really good compared to a massive funk bass line with a load of detail. And so it's always worth, if you're hearing something that you think is good, put it in. Absolutely, yeah.
Yes. Most of the time it's the stripped back stuff that is the best, right?
Yeah, it's so big right now, so big. All of that kind of lo-fi and just sort of, I think some of the songs I've heard that they've got really big, and they're probably 4 channels, you know, four instruments, maybe 3. And I love that. I love that minimalist approach, because it shows you don't always need that big low song to have an effect on someone. All of these sounds are different emotions, different feelings, different stories, and you're going to relate to them differently. With, you know, you might hear a very intimate song, and it's very unlikely to have all of these massive orchestral instruments and big hard drum beat, because that just wouldn't fit. So this is bringing, I think, new ideas to the table, thinking, how can we mess around with that traditional format that we're, as musicians, we're always told is the basis. I mean, I don't know about everyone, but when I was sort of training, they teach you a lot about writing for bands, and obviously you've got that standard drums, bass, you know, guitar and vocal. But now people are not so much thinking about that. We're going to the next step. How can we change that? Do we need it, is the question. Do we need that right now?
Yeah, I love it when you get like, because in every art form there is like rules and guidelines, but I think the main thing is to learn about those, but then chuck them all away afterwards. And
that's
say,
hard to do.
And say, what can we, like, breaking the rules, like, what can we do different with this, you know? And I think, you know, I listened to, and we played the clip earlier on the podcast, the little alien clip of that track, and it sounds like, to be honest, when I originally listened to it, when Dom sent it around to me, I was like, oh, this is like more unusual than I expected it to be.
You haven't even heard the plus.
No, which is a good thing. I felt that's what art and music and anything should do. They should listen to it and go, oh, this isn't, you know, the generic or the, you know, the usual stuff that you listen to. So and I think you guys have achieved, when Dom said about the like spacey sort of in a different world thing, you definitely have achieved that. So well done to like you guys as a team.
Man. Thanks. I think that's really where I'm coming from in terms of where I'm connecting with people. It's a very wide age range that I think could be interested in it. But there's this whole worldwide view. I think that now, in my opinion, it's terrible. Just spreading my opinions all over your podcast. But you know, it's time to think more like a world than a group of people against a group of people, which is, I find, in history, you know, it just goes throughout history. We're connected now. We can all talk to each other, and we can all work with each other. And I like to come from that nice worldwide approach. I think there is a group of, or the most recent couple of generations, that really think, man, this is a bit weird. I've never thought of a Chinese person as different from me, because we're all connected. We all talk online. We're all, you know, doing projects, and it's easy to access each other. So it's really changed the dynamic of how we're seeing creation now, and how we're seeing people talk to each other, and ideas on how we really want to do this as humans. And so I'm coming from this approach of we're all human. We are a world. We're all human. We're literally all on the same rock. So it's a bit dumb to think that we're separate in any way.
I think we're trying to promote just like the idea of, you know, like the future is actually so inconceivably big. To believe that you as a single human can do anything to you know, affect anything, it is just, it's a funny thought, you know. But as a planet, you know, you can do so much. Like if you connect with people, you know, and you do these massive things as a group, like there's massive amount of energy, you know, everyone passes around, you know, you feel, you know, you get ideas from, you know, other parts of the world which you might not have even thought of, you know. It's amazing.
You know,
like
African drumming was a massive influence when I was sort of looking up.
Modern music just keeps mixing, and you get these, for example, in modern grime even and trap, there's like Afrobeat, you know, Afrobeat. Like for example, who was the artist that did Coffee? Rapture and Toast, and you know, yeah, she's just like is it Jamaican, I think, but it's a reggae artist, but she's got like Afrobeat, you know, these trap 808s on her songs, but these Afrobeat drums over the top of it, and it just sounds absolutely amazing. And like that would have never been conceived prior, you know, in that way a couple years ago, until these two some thought, hey, why don't we put these two together, you know? And that only happened because there was a mix of cultures, and if people don't share and people don't, you know, show what they're thinking, that this world is, you know, it's not going to develop, basically. Like, you need to talk to each other for the sake of humanity, really. You know, if you if you want to do good, the best thing you can do is share your feelings, honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it is amazing that we're doing, like, talking about this today in like the moment, in like the scenario that we are in at the moment. I feel like communication is such, it's been enforced at the moment, you know, because unfortunately, I think in recent years and over several years, us as humans, we talk to one another, but do we actually listen? Which I think we are guilty of. But now, because of, you know, this terrible like coronavirus and everything, we're actually communicating with each other and actually listening more, I think, anyway. I think it's kind of really important that you guys are sort of working on this stuff at the moment, and sort of saying that we should, you know, reach out to people like different walks of life and everything, because that can only like enrich us, you know, spiritually and mentally and all that stuff.
Absolutely. And we're sort of being driven into that one place where we all kind of have to exist at the moment, which is, I guess, online. And we're seeing some really creative stuff at the moment, actually, which is great, because, you know, I've found that a lot of more people are free to get involved with the projects. I do have sort of session musicians that I might just, you know, ask to play some stuff in, because hey, so and so has a $2,000 bass, and that would sound really nice.
Nice,
you know?
yeah.
So, yeah.
No, that's good. So we've probably like dived into it anyway. We've got very like deep into this conversation, which is good. I like it. It's rich.
Oh, Harry, I'll just keep talking. You could have me here all day.
It's all right. Just keep going. It's all right. Do you know what? You don't have to tell me that. It's fine. I knew that you'd be like this anyway, so it's fine. It's great. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
So yeah, I think that through this, I've also tried to get the idea of play in, and I don't know what you think of it, Harry, but a lot of adults forget how to play.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Right? And I think having that playful element actually allows you to listen to others, because you kind of, you're it's a creative thing. I think you're willing to look at a situation through the eyes of a child. Everyone is a child, in my view. Every single adult, every age group is new. You don't wake up having done today already. It's always a new day, right?
Yeah.
You're always a child to that new day. You've not done it, and neither has anyone else. And I think that playfulness of just being willing to create and to sort of not have a preconception really of what you should be like. I've heard a lot, you should grow up while I'm rolling on the floor. And I'm like, no, I'm enjoying this rolling on the floor laughing, and I'm going to do it. And I think that a lot of adults, if they can enjoy your playfulness, if you've got it, go and do it, because I think it's a healthy state of mind. I think you learn so much through play, and it's a shame, I think, that we've lost that element in a lot of the time in adult life. So really, I want to try and get that back with this project a little bit as well, and get people playing.
Cool.
Get people experimenting.
So would you say that is like one of the main themes that you want to come across in this album?
Yeah, there's a couple. So I've got sort of the playful element, and I try to do that through the AR. So you might be watching a gig and you can run through. I've got an app that will be coming out, and you can go on the app and you can see the rest of the gig. So if you look at it in real life, there's not as much there. If you look through the phone, you can see all the characters. I've got a couple of mascots that would be in the room. You might even be able to interact with those mascots. And sort of trying to get people to maybe record clips with them for fun and maybe do competitions. And it's just a new way, I guess, of doing performance, trying to get other people to play as well. I'm sitting here playing all day, but I want everyone else to do a bit of that because I think it's so healthy. And I think for people in general, it's sort of almost the age of the creator. There's so many jobs appearing in the creative fields. It's one of the largest growing sectors in the UK. Don't know about right now. Probably right now it is because everyone's doing it because we've got time. But bearing that in mind, we need to get people playing. We need to get them experimenting and really pushing the boundaries on what traditional models are. We need to think, okay, we've done this in the past. Is this useful? Is this the way it should be? Are we happy? And I think a lot of people are not happy with the way that things are. And music and media and playfulness is a way to relieve yourself from that and to think of new ways of changing it. But also, I come from a different, obviously as a woman in the creative industry, I've mostly worked with guys, and I hate to have to say this because I know there's so much chat about feminism right now and things like that. I'm not going to call out that I'm a feminist in any way, but I will say that I try to write this from a very asexual standpoint. So what I mean by that is I don't have sex in any of my songs because it's not, when you're thinking so much, when you're dreaming so much, I find that it's not so sexual. And a child, if you think of the world through the eyes of a child, that child's not thinking like that. So that's
a valid point. Yeah, that is a valid point.
Exactly right. So in order for me to gain more wisdom with myself, and maybe for others this might work, is to look at the world that way and have that innocence and that honesty. So yeah, you'll find, I think, if you listen to I'm going to be putting them on my website later on, carriehiggs.co.uk, where you'll be able to access the album in early June in advance of the release. You'll be able to have a little look and see for yourself what this kind of vibe is. But I think it's quite interesting. It's just real girls being real girls, I think.
No, that's good. That's like amazing. No, that's
yeah. I don't go home with and then start putting on a full face makeup and then going and just like flicking my hair by the window because I'm just so beautiful. No. I'm straight in my PJs. I've got a coffee and I'm studying or I'm working and playing with cables.
No, that's also, that's not us like putting, like, that's not us putting down people that do that, because people do,
absolutely not.
People do that for like main reasons and stuff, and you know, you know, and it's almost
variety.
You joke about the makeup and stuff. It's like some people that do that, it's like putting on war paint or putting on like their armor and stuff.
Absolutely.
So people do obviously things for different reasons. But I agree. I really find what you just said about not making it like sexual is such an important thing. I think such an important message, because unfortunately the world is like so sexualized. It's ridiculous.
It's really quite bad right now.
And I think it's really good that you're creating something that is neutral to that, because there's enough of it out there, as you said. So,
absolutely.
So I really like. Tell me, like, who are you putting like this project out with? Like, because Dom mentioned about like management and stuff. So who are you working with along with that and stuff?
So as my sort of own personal brand, I work with external companies like Dom here with Stilltone to sort of create my projects. I've got, at the moment, I have it's all sort of in the pipeline, really, because I mean I've always been independent as an artist, and suddenly I'm working with others. It's really for my personal development more than anything. But at the moment, yes, I've got a manager who I've had for quite a long time. So it's been about sort of 7 years, and he just sort of stands in when I need him to. He's just literally an individual that just does managing.
Cool.
And I've got a booking manager as well who's set up an LGBTQ and women's booking agency in Brighton.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
All right. So I was like, yeah, this sounds really cool, because I as I said, I barely ever work with women. And this was a great opportunity to one, do that and get involved with people that different people that I haven't really worked with before. Whenever I've done a lot of work, it's usually been, I will be honest, with older men, white men. And I really like the idea of getting involved with a different sort of group. Obviously, I've been working with the LGBTQ film teams in Brighton quite a lot. It's Brighton. We have a lot of this here.
Yeah.
And really, it just sort of, they connected through me in that sense. Those two groups, we had sort of the musicians and the videographers, and they've met through me. And then I kind of created this triangle between us. So we're all sort of working together for this ultimate goal of empowerment for really sort of subgroups in a way. And, women that are into their tech, women that are into the nerdy women like me.
No, nerd is good. I love the way nerd is such a good word.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys, I'm a nerd.
Yeah, back in the day, it's to be a nerd was bad. Now to be a nerd is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at I don't know if you're watching Elon Musk, but he's definitely a nerd, and he is doing some pretty fun things. I mean, if you were him setting up all those satellites across the sky, you'd love it. I did that, yeah. But absolutely. And so I've got that sort of network of teams, 2 producers, my booking agent, my manager, but I am still independent, so I'm not signed with anyone. I just work with them as my own entity.
No, that's good. I think that's always important, to try and keep that independent,
Absolutely.
your feet on the ground, sort of, because the last thing you want to do is have too many cooks in the kitchen, right?
That's the thing. And every cook has an opinion about what spices you should put in that dish. And that can be a problem, when you go to, and especially when I was writing this, some people were quite, in the early stages, they didn't quite understand where I was going, because they're like, well, you've got this reggae bass line, you've got this trap drum beat, you've got classical strings in there. Obviously, from my classical days, that must be an influence. And they're like, I'm not really sure what style this is, and I'm not really sure what you want me to add in terms of guitar, because I'd say, hey, look, this is a basic part, could you clean it up and send it back because you've got a better rig? Sure, don't quite get the feel. I spent a lot of time working with people trying to sort of get them to understand that kind of mixture of styles, but having less influences in a way, and being independent for so long, especially, that was a major influence on where I would push this project and how I was going to do it. So I always want to try and retain as much independence as possible, because I feel that would take away a lot of my experience, and would be a shame, actually, in a way.
Yeah, no, I think that is the way for things to stay pure, and things to stay fun as well. If you end up getting too many people involved, or you get the establishment involved, or some big company, they always have their own agendas, as everybody does.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of the time it's what's already around that they're drawing their data from, whereas really I haven't taken too much data. I have taken data on what's sort of around, but I was more interested in how I as an individual could get my own sound. And when you find, and I'm going to go back to talking about being like a child again, but when you're playing guitar and you're learning guitar, you'll find that with the kids, I mean, I've taught music for a couple of years, so this has been really interesting in terms of what I found with them, is they'll touch the guitar, they'll slap it, they'll throw it around, and they'll make all these weird sounds with it. They'll experiment with it. But if you put it in front of an older adult, they hold it awkwardly and they look a little scared of it, and they don't necessarily play around with it so much, right?
Yeah.
It's something I see all the time, and I think that's what I wanted to keep, that kind of experimentation, that thinking for yourself. It doesn't have to be a musical influence to be an influence. It could be a visual. It could be a situation. It doesn't mean you're not going to find your niche, your sound, just yourself.
No, I think I 100% agree. Obviously not from like a musical standpoint, but in terms of like anything like creative, let's say like painting, if you put like a kid down in front of paints and a paintbrush, and then you put an adult down, the adult always wants to know like what is the plan, or like what is like, for some reason we get to a certain age and we have all these things that are guidelines and structure put into place or have taught to us, and then for some reason some people, not everybody, but some people feel like they need that structure. They can't go out of the lines. And with the kids, like painting or anything creative, they just want to play. So
absolutely. I think if you eat breakfast every day at 10 a.m., then you're probably going to get hungry if you don't do it on a day, right? You're always going to have that. Your body learns habits so quickly and so intensely. It is incredibly difficult to let go of that once you've kind of structured yourself in that way. It's not a problem. I think that you can take it away and you can disassociate yourself with those kinds of barriers. But absolutely, I think that's why play is so important.
Just believe, if you what I heard someone say, like, I don't know if it's a motto or whatever, but I sort of live by it. It's like, if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything. So if you don't truly believe in something, if you don't believe in a political view, or you don't believe in something, and someone can say anything, and you'll just start believing it because you've got nothing to follow. A human needs something. People naturally follow things. They naturally believe in things, and if you don't have something that you personally are confident in believing, and you've conceived and believe in your own opinion, if you don't have a very stable basis for that, you're just gonna, every time someone says something, you're just gonna get knocked. And
you're vulnerable.
Exactly. You're gonna just follow in people's footsteps. You're never gonna make your own track, and that's the biggest problem with especially youths today. Like, they just tend to follow and trend and do things that they see other people do. They don't create their own sort of opinions. They just follow, and that's my biggest what do you call it, advice is literally just believe in it, and never let other people's opinions just change your opinion. You should always like evaluate it and see what can you take from their opinion and use for your own, maybe, or never just think that someone else's opinion is better than yours. It's everyone's equal.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely tried to reflect that in the album project by sort of putting in multiple meanings. You can listen to it from hopefully any perspective, and you're going to get a story of some kind. So someone that, for example, might not know much about music at all, and they just listen to it for the lyrics and the story, will take it in one way, whereas maybe someone that's a musician will take it a totally different way, or a philosopher will take it a totally different way. And I've tried to bear that in mind when creating the project, because we all have our own opinions, we all have our own standpoints.
There is no perfect human.
There is no truth. We're just going to have to get there, aren't we, and say that.
There is no objectively perfect human that everyone should aim to be. You are unique. There is literally no such thing as a perfect human. A human with 3 arms and I don't know, like a missing leg is just cool. As perfect in someone else's opinion as someone who who's got all the normal things. It doesn't. There is no perfect human. So
I feel
the imperfect nature is what we like. That's the thing that we miss out. That's the bit we actually like.
It's one of the oldest sets of philosophy, actually. Like I can't remember who it was, but it was Socrates, I think, or someone from that era, said, this is a cat, this is another cat. So because we both know that these are cats, there must be some sort of perfect cat up in heaven that we know is the ideal cat.
Yeah, I want to see this cat.
And that's one of the oldest sets of philosophy that humans have created. We've moved way past that to an understanding that there is no perfect entity. It's just everyone's unique. The guidelines are just sort of there for like what humans have done before. So like, if in music, for example, there's a scale. It's because most humans before you have thought that these cell notes sound better together. That doesn't mean that you should go and do it all the time. Someone might tell you it's out of key, but you might want it out of key. You might want it detuned. It's completely up to you.
It is 100%. That brings me to a really good point. That it's good that you've said that, Dom, because when I was writing one of the songs, "Program" is one of the. I think that's the entry. Yeah, the entry track. I wrote it down 2 hertz. So I actually wrote the music down in pitch, so it wasn't at the standard pitch that we use today. So I used a different one, sort of pre-1930s sort of pitch. It's changed since then, and I gave it to the musicians, and they were all like, "Man, it's out of tune." and because they re-recorded it higher, they recorded it 2 hertz higher, so it sounded so bad. And I was like, guys, it's down 2 hertz. Did you not notice? And obviously running it through software as well was difficult because it was all tuned to standard. So there are limitations to things today. In the digital era, there are limitations in terms of we've got all of these softwares, but they're all predestined in a way.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've been trying to sort of throw out the window with it. Yeah, you do have to be careful with it. It's we've kept it down 2 hertz, but it was a big argument for a while where I was sort of saying to the other producer, "No, man, you're gonna have to re-record it now because no wonder it clashes. You've done it too high. It's supposed to be lower." So by reducing it by those couple of hertz, I changed the way that the vibration works within the song.
Yeah.
And if you the theory, the argument is that it's closer to the vibration of the natural things on our planet. So everything vibrates, everything moves, nothing is solid, and in terms of, I guess, physics. And if you're looking at a plant, and that plant is actually vibrating in a very small way, those vibrations translate to a sound, a pitch, and those are the pitches that I based this track off. And yeah, it's mega interesting though. Like it was definitely more difficult to do because I had to record it way more accurately than I would have liked to, because you couldn't then go and necessarily tune it so easily if you needed to, or layer it up in the same way. The texture is very different. It's very warm. It's a bit more like listening to a vinyl as opposed to a CD.
Okay, nice. Yeah, more of like crisper and sort of fuller sounds and stuff.
Absolutely. It's got a lot more width to it if you take it down a couple of hertz. I mean, with the one thing that people found was when we did change our standard tuning here, is the music was sharper, it was more narrow, and we did see an increase in people struggling with learning the songs as well, because I guess it didn't actually resonate with them, literally. And a lot more stress, because I guess in a way your body is being pushed to listen to music that is putting stress on your cells because it's a higher vibration than what actually resonates with your cells. It's a fascinating area. See what I mean?
No. It sounds it. I'm not gonna lie, it's not something that I like deeply understand, but it is truly interesting. I really like what Dom said earlier about sort of saying about that there's no perfect human or no perfect thing. I feel like that is such a valuable thing and message to try and come across in everything, because especially to young people, because there's so much pressure, and from like magazines and from all like media, unfortunately.
Lots of influence coming from every direction.
Where they show this perfect human, or this is a perfect thing, or I feel like the way that humanity should go forward is that there is perfection in the imperfect,
Absolutely, Harry. I think that's a really, really good way of saying it. And I've tried to reflect that through Alien. I mean, that's the way that I've come from that standpoint of, there is no perfect, and two, we're all, in a way, we're all alien to each other, but that's okay. And actually, that's a good thing, that we need that. And I'm definitely not you, Harry. Last time I checked, I was definitely Carrie. So
I think that's a valuable thing to hopefully understand in like early life, that we are individuals and we are ourselves. We don't have to, we've all had moments in our lives when we were younger going, well, because everybody else likes this certain thing, I should like it. So
oh yeah, that went so badly for me. Trying to copy. I know a lot of people will definitely relate to this, where you've got a group of friends, and this happens a lot with girls. I mean, with groups of girls, especially from what I've seen, this is just my experience. When I've gone, I love that too, and then I've gone in and I've gone and done it, and I suck for one, because I'm not interested, and then I realise, man, actually makes you unhappy. So I think don't do it, because you're forcing yourself to sit down, and that's essentially trying to force yourself to be somebody else. And I just don't think that it works in the long run. Can you hold that up? Probably not. Right. So it's better to be honest. It's better to be open and true to yourself, because at the end of the day, that's going to come out eventually. If you're under pressure, or you're in a situation where you're required to make up your new character of self, that's not going to work. If you can't improvise it, then you just go back to who you are, and that will come out. So I think it's better to just be you, and being you allows you to grow, and that's a beautiful thing.
And I think it goes to the point of like, unfortunately, this life is so like fleeting and short. Why pretending to be somebody else?
Yeah, exactly. There was a study done on near-death experiences. Oh, here we go. Now, and the biggest regret on people's deathbeds was pretending to be someone else, trying to be like somebody else, trying to work loads, get loads of money, but not appreciating people around them, not appreciating themselves. And it was the biggest regret. And since I learned that, I've always remembered it. It really affected me personally when I heard it. I thought, that's so sad. You can go through your whole life and you're trying really, really hard, but you're not happy. And then at the end, that's the last thing you think of. How horrible. I was like, no way.
That's the last thing you want to do, is that to be like your last living thought. It's like, oh, that's really depressing.
I know, it's a bit typical really, but that's sort of a...
What would you, to try and like, because it sounds like we could talk about, this ever, but what would you say is like, both of your goals, like you and Dom, what would you say is like the thing that you want to achieve, like the end goal that you want to achieve from this particular album?
I think the main thing that I really like to achieve with this is, one, getting people engaged when they normally wouldn't be so engaged with a personal brand. That's sort of the first one. But coming from a less nerdy perspective and keeping it simple, I kind of want to just encourage people to try out new ideas. I want to encourage people to be more confident, no matter who you are. I don't care who you are. I want to see what you do. And that's what I want to encourage people to do. And also think of things from a different perspective, getting people to question things the way that they are now. And do we need to be so slow at it now? Can we create a bigger question for bigger answers. The question, the most human thing that we all share, that really we at the moment see as different from us and animals. The question. I want people to question. I want people to think. I want people to create, do, and reflect.
Yeah, no, I think the moment that we stop questioning things is the moment we are like truly dead as a species, you know?
Absolutely. What are you then? You're just
you're just
an input and output machine.
Yeah, you're just a bit of meat that's walking around.
Lovely. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, obviously my goals are a little different from Dom's. And do you want to share, Dom, your personal goals?
Yeah, Dom, I'd love to hear what you think.
So personally, I wanted to join this album because it wasn't something I'd done before. Like I normally obviously just produced at home. Working with Carrie, it was like a lot of acoustic and sort of a lot of instrumental sort of type things that came into my skill base, and that was really fun to work on. But besides that, I think the main reason I worked with Carrie to produce this album is to, again, like try and show to people like that anyone can use the software available to them, and the tech available to them to go and do what they want and express themselves. Express yourself. That is the key to this album, I think. Be human, express yourself. Don't. Even though the song's called Alien, I know like the point is you're unique. Be human. That's what I'm trying to promote as a producer. I think like all these sounds are like I'm not using presets. I'm using like human made artifacts, which are like very custom sounds. So I'm saying like human made this. Listen to it. You can do this yourself. It's really easy. Like you should just go learn it if that's something you want to do.
So, no, that's such an important thing to try and like bring out there, is that I feel like sometimes creatives they end up not everybody, but like the big people sometimes can be like, I'm good at this and I'm the only one that's like amazing at this.
Yeah, they're standing for that kind of
that's
niche.
When you do that, you just stop learning. That is the point where you stop learning.
And if you get to the point that you think everything that you produce is amazing, then it definitely isn't.
Oh man, yeah.
I feel like I've come across with like people like that through like creative stuff where they think that they're amazing at everything, and then you actually sit down and watch their stuff or listen to it and you're like, actually mate, it's kind of not that great.
Where can I get my shovel and how can I dig a hole fast?
I feel like and
it's okay to do that. It's okay.
Some people don't like that, but I think sometimes I could be guilty that I'm a little bit blunt, but
that's fine, Harry. I mean,
blunt is useful. Blunt is much more useful than quiet.
As long as you're being like nice about it and constructive. Obviously, you don't turn around to someone and go, actually, this is a piece of shit. Why did you waste this time?
Yeah, it's not very helpful, I guess, is it? It's not.
But I agree that
even that though is valid. If you're that artist, if you're that person that's gone out there and you have done it and you have tried it, and you find that you feel rejected and you find that you feel that people don't like it, you've just pitched it to the wrong person. Someone else is going to like it. I mean, I've written really terrible songs before. I think every songwriter has, and I've gone, oh my gosh, why did I show anyone that? But there was always someone that went, you know what, I really like this. And because, as I said, everybody is an individual, and there's always someone out there for everyone. Always.
Yeah, no, I agree. Also, I'd say, like, I don't know if you agree with this, but to anybody that's creative or anybody that's not, but anybody that's creative, that's done previous stuff, if you're going to make new stuff, go look back at your old stuff and see what is good and what is bad. And like, I'm writing a new short film at the moment, and I've been rewatching my old stuff and sort of going, oh, that was a bit shit. But I think it is important in creative and in any life lesson in life is to learn from your previous stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's so different now from what it was, and
You can
I've
see how
definitely
it's
taken
developed.
elements from the old music.
Yeah, when you can see how it's developed, you can sort of predetermine how, well, where you're going to go with it. If you see that, like, for example, I've got this software and it's helped me, achieve this and this, with this, then you can go, okay, well, this is probably what I should work on next. I've got, this part of the mixing, done or whatever, but perhaps this part, this instrument is not coming through that much. I might need to get like this particular software to make it, sound bigger, or compress it or something. And like you need to like use tech in the right way, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about sort of the more marketing side of things, about getting your music out there and really understanding your market, I'd definitely suggest that anybody out there that is just starting out, go research 1000 True Fans by Kevin Kelly. He talks about how if you just have 1000 true fans, as in fans that follow you, as in fans that might buy your merchandise and things like that, then you can actually that's a living to you. So it's actually, in terms of success, let's talk about success. Don't think that success is all, I have 2 million Instagram followers. You don't need it. You only need 1,000 that truly follow you, because all these people that are just scrolling past your posts, well, they're not really involved in a way. It's just a number. It just becomes a number rather than something that's helping you survive. So go check out Kevin Kelly, 1,000 True Fans. It will really, really inspire you. If you can just get, say, I think it was like £100 a year or something, or a month. What was it? It's basically, if you get $100, I mean, he's American. If you get $100 from each one, you've got tons of money, right? So if you did that every couple of months or every month.
So if you keep the full $100 for
I'm terrible at maths.
It's right, so am I.
So yeah, $100 from 1,000 fans is $100,000 a year.
There we are. See, $100,000. Thank you, Don, mathematician. Right,
so
here.
$100 from a fan each year is not actually that much. Let's say you do 5 shows, $20, £20 a ticket, right? That's going to be £100 from that one fan. And if you have 1,000 people that come 5 times a year, which you probably have, you can build up more. That's going to be a lot of money for you to go and invest in your own brand.
So really just focus on those fans that are engaged, focus on the people that are important to you and your music, and then I think it will grow from there, in my opinion.
I think that's like, both of you like some really valid points, but I'd also like say to anybody that's creative, don't go searching for success, because to try and just do it because you want to be successful isn't a true passion.
It's not even a true path, because what is that? That's different for everyone. What is true success? That's just your preconceived idea of what you think it is based off usually someone else. So your success is probably very, very different to somebody else's success. So I totally agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
From a marketing sort of side, if as a fan or an audience, like if you lose your like validity or your authenticity as an artist, no one's gonna believe you. You're gonna be one of those. You're gonna be one of those SoundCloud rappers rapping about all the money they've got when they live at their mum's. You're gonna be one of those people. So like, don't just start doing it for money. Like, don't just ever start doing something for money. You've got to be passionate about it, and then the money comes.
Yeah, do it from your own individuality.
You will attract the money with your passion. That's how you should do it.
Preach it, sister.
That's what I'd say that is the thing. Like, I could have easily stopped doing this podcast because I haven't had a shit ton of people listening to it, but to me, I'm like, I enjoy doing it, and I've enjoyed talking to the people that I've talked to so far. You guys have been my favourites so far, by the way.
Hey!
Thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
No, it's all right. Thanks for coming on board and getting involved, having a chat with us about it. I think that is the last point I'm going to make is get involved. Go talk to people that are also in that field if you can. Even better if you can get a mentor, someone that will tell you what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. Don't take it as gospel, but it is good advice and it is really, really good for feedback.
Would you
Feedback
say that
is your thing.
would you say that is your like bit of advice for any like musicians or anybody that's creative that's
Yeah. How can people get involved with you if they don't know you? If
Yeah,
they don't know who you
Sell
are,
yourself
that's
as a
all
brand.
you need to do. We just want to know who you are.
Exactly. You need to put your skills and who you are, what you do out there. Otherwise, people, how are you gonna be working for, a film set in
Suddenly
Hollywood?
Jay-Z just knocks on your door
Jay-Z's
and he's like,
gonna
oh,
knock
hey,
on your door, they're like, I
haven't
heard
heard
you
of
rapping,
you.
no, you need to make a some sort of library, or if you really want, if this is what you want to do, make it. Just don't ask anybody, don't wait for anybody. Make it. If it's crap, redo it again. That's how you learn. And then eventually someone will, like, it will happen. Like you hear these stories, I was a rapper from this city and then this label saw me. Like, it will happen.
Yeah.
It's not some fairy tale.
I mean,
like, there's hundreds of label companies out there. There's you just got
don't
to
even have to be with a
good.
label now.
Exactly. You can just be independent. So just go and do it. Be confident.
Yeah.
Be passionate. Be passionate. That is the key term. Just passion.
Oh,
Money,
yeah.
passion attracts money. Passion, if you have passion, you can't get blindsided by depression or anxiety, because you're passionate about your thing. You don't even have time to think about those emotions, because you're just raging ahead with your career, with your passion. So just be confident,
be
and
there,
passionate. Just
be
be
there
there,
and
be
do
present.
it, be present.
Yeah, I like 100% agree. I can't believe I'm going to quote this, but I am going to quote it. I recently rewatched Sister Act.
Right.
And, there's this, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Whoopi Goldberg's character goes up to, I think it's Sister Act 2, and she goes up to a student that she's working with, and she goes, if you wake up and all that you want to be is a singer or a writer, then you're a writer or a singer. So I'd say, yeah, passion is like the key thing. Like, if you wake up in the morning and all that you want to be is that thing, then go and do it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
go be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you sit in an office thinking about playing guitar, you're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, that's why I can't stand people where, unfortunately, life happens and financial stuff, but I can't stand people where they moan about their jobs so much and then don't do anything about it. It's like,
it's a tricky one.
It is tricky, but and obviously it can take time for you to get out of that. But yeah, I 100% agree. If you got the passion and you wake up every morning and that's all you want to do, just go and do it. Just do it.
Absolutely. I'm still alive. I managed it. But yeah, expect to maybe, if you're obviously not so lucky, you're probably going to be a bit poor, but that's all right. As long as you've got your guitar and you've got your stuff, then, knock yourself away. Get it done.
No, that's like every artist anyway, so it's just part of it, isn't it?
There's always this moment of sacrifice. That's what I felt like it was. This moment of sort of going, I can take it, bring it to me. And you sort of just hold your arms out and you're like, I'm vulnerable now, and I've done my project and I've sacrificed these things to get it done. And that could be going out on the weekends. That had to be sacrificed. I could not have done it. I'm not, I do suffer with my health. So if I was going out to any sort of parties, I just wouldn't have the energy to do the project. So I had to make that decision to say, no, you can't do that. I know that's, some people that would be really, really hard, but just those sort of restrictions where I'm like, that's not needed. This will help me get what I aim to do done. And in the long run, make me happy. Quick fixes don't always work. Sometimes you have to invest in the longer aspect of your goals to get that nice reward. But yeah, I will keep talking, Harry.
No, that's cool. It's all right. We'll wrap it up there, but I want to say, thank you guys for coming on so much. This has been like a really in-depth, interesting conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's sort of what we want to do. Let's all talk, man. Everyone.
Yeah, and let's keep this conversation going. When this is all done and everything, we'll meet up and chat about stuff, and please send me the link over with like the rest of the album and stuff, and I'd love to take a listen and stuff.
Absolutely. I'll send them over to you if anyone's interested in checking out this project. Early June, sort of, let's give a date, 10th of June. Go on to www.carriehiggs.co.uk and get yourself a sneak preview of what is to come over the summer.
And maybe some merchandise.
And maybe even a couple of hoodies that we have personally drawn and designed ourselves. So,
Nice
and it actually contains quite a lot of the themes we talked about today. So if you're interested in questions, if you're interested in philosophy, if you're interested in texture and sound and techie stuff and cables and internet and aliens and space, any of those things, if you like those, you're going to like this. And come and get involved. Come and say hi.
Cool. Cheers. No, thank you very much, guys. Thanks so much for talking. And you guys stay well. Don't end up getting sick or anything, will you?
No. I mean, we've been in lockdown for 60 days or something now, so I think we've escaped it. I feel lucky. Hopefully we'll get to all go outside soon.
Yeah. Cool. No, we'll definitely catch up soon in person, and I'll definitely get you guys to come on again, and we can chat about whatever.
There's a couple more things that we'll be doing after July, so we're happy to come back on and
thanks so much, Dom, as well, talking. It's nice
Brilliant.
It's nice to talk to you not in person, but
no, it's just it's unusual to bring a producer on. I know. I just thought, you know what, why not? Because producers these days are so involved, right? So all right,
guys, do you take care.
You too, Harry.
And we'll chat soon. All right then, bye.
Chat soon. Bye.
So that was my interview with Carrie and Dom about their exciting new album, 0 Plus. Oh, it was super interesting to talk to Carrie and Dom. Thank you guys for coming on. We could have chatted forever, hence the interview is so long. But I just couldn't cut any of it out because we just super enjoyed talking to each other about creativity. It got a bit deep in some of it, but I super enjoyed it. Can't wait to hear more from the album, which I believe comes out in June. Super looking forward to that. Some real experimental stuff going on there. Well done, guys. And I hope you take care. And I look forward to having you on again to talk about creative stuff. And so that is the end of episode 8. Thank you guys for listening. And as always, I thought I would end with something a little light-hearted. And today it is a poem performed by one of the Doctor Who's, all about the NHS, to say thank you for all their hard work on the front line dealing with coronavirus. So until next time, you guys take care.
I'll tell you a tale that's been recently written of a powerful army so great it'd save Britain. They didn't have bombs and they didn't have planes. They fought with their hearts and they fought with their brains. They didn't have bullets, armed just with a mask. We sent them to war with one simple task: to show us the way to lead and inspire us, to protect us from harm and to fight off the virus. It couldn't be stopped by our bulletproof vests. An invisible enemy invaded our chests. So we called on our weapon, our soldiers in blue. All doctors, all nurses, your country needs you. We clapped on our streets, hearts bursting with pride, while they set off to war, while we stayed inside. They struggled at first as they searched for supplies, but they stared down the virus in the whites of its eyes. They leapt from the trenches and didn't think twice. So never came back, the ultimate price. So tired, so weary, yet still they fought on, as the virus was beaten and the battle was won. The many of us oh so much to so few. The brave and the bold are heroes in blue. So let's line the streets and remember our debt. We love you, our heroes, lest we forget.